websites from this collection. Yeah. Anyway, so environmental partnerships fund distributions FY23. We've got my brain's not working. I know your name. Kate is here. Does someone want to move this? Moved by Sarah, seconded by Mike. Any questions? Yanni, so Kate, come to the table.
Thanks, Kate and Kay. I really appreciate all the work that you do with our environmental groups. And I know that there's a lot of demand on our rangers in terms of time and resources to enable a lot of the environmental groups in the city to contribute and get a lot of volunteers. Just the one very specific question I had was around the Avon Heathcote Ihuta Estuary Trust, around how much they'd applied for and how much they've been granted. And just sort of related to that, coming out of a community planting day that they had the other week, the desire for a sort of estuary-based ranger and whether there was any opportunity to look at that support through this money, like the discretionary money that's been held back, if there was a process to enable an estuary-based ranger to work in that space. Thank you.
I'm afraid that question's a bit above my pay grade, Yanni. In terms of, to answer your first question, they didn't apply for this money. The money's been allocated to them. So we have various partnerships and memoranda of understanding in place with many of these groups. And in the LTP, they had their funding reduced by 5%. And when this opportunity came up, we saw it as a chance to lift them back up to the level to which we were previously supporting them, to make sure that their momentum was maintained for doing climate change. As to the question of a ranger, I think my only comment on that would be that the community rangers that we've recently appointed as a result of the funding that we got in the LTP have been making great strides across the city and are really, really building their relationships. And I don't see the estuary as any different in that. I think that they're gradually taking hold of owning the relationships and holding the relationships with those community groups, and it's something that's only going to get stronger, and we're seeing a lot of increased activity because of those 3 new ranger positions. But I can't speak to getting a new ranger in place for the estuary. I think that's one for Andrew.
What would be the process for allocating that discretionary towards a project?
We want to hold it in reserve because and specifically through those community rangers, we are hearing all the time of new things that are coming up. So it's about us having our ears to the ground, and if there are new projects and new initiatives coming to the fore that we think would be worth supporting, that we would, through those rangers and through my team, be approaching those groups and talking to them about what they need.
So if the Trust wrote a letter, for example, if they saw a need and a demand, then that would be something you could consider.
100%.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Just looking at these groups who are being approved funding today, hopefully, that they all rely on and have within them hundreds of volunteers. Is it possible for you, without being onerous, to monetise those voluntary hours and put that into the report?
Sure.
Because I think that for this $350,000 fund, the public would be gobsmacked to see what that actually turns into when we put our volunteers' hours in there.
I totally
and it also
agree.
Recognises the people that step up and do this work with us and us with them.
Yeah.
So, is that possible?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, through our Better Impact database that we collect volunteer data on, that's a fraction of what's happening across the city. So very small matter for us through the reporting mechanisms we have to ask them to provide us with the hours, and we can apply that to the cost of having a ranger or a PGMO on the ground doing the same sort of work and easily monetise that.
So, Leanne, would it be possible to put a noting provision in there that these reports do monetise the volunteer hours as well. Because I think going forward it's a great
sort of
yeah,
thing to
public
go
facing
forward
information is really important. Thanks.
Agree.
for future reports. So is it ascribe value rather than monetize? I don't like the word money. You know, sort of to include a
voluntary hours.
yeah, the value of the contribution of voluntary hours.
Yeah.
Something.
Well, it's easy to monetise it though.
Well, that could be one way that we do it.
Yeah,
but
I'd
we
leave it
also
to-
talk
yeah.
about what's achieved as well as what.
Yeah, because it
financially
isn't just the financial
Oh, no,
contribution.
no.
It's how they, but it's also how they work together, and it's
Oh, and the
coming
social benefits
together.
as well.
Yeah, there's
And one of the lenses that we apply every year is to look at how many ranger hours are going into each of those planting projects. So for one ranger hour, generally speaking, you know, even in the smallest groups, we're getting 4 to 6 hours of labour and help, right up to 200 hours for things like the Big Give and other really big projects.
Yeah, and I think where I'm coming from is to show that this money, which is from the ratepayer pool, actually grows. We're growing that dollar value by heaps, and so if we can just encapsulate somehow.
yeah, no, that's good. And since I've got you here, this is the only chance I'll get to say thank you for all the work that you did around the peace train, and for making that such a valuable asset to the city straight away. And for arranging the weather on the first day that it had its public
I had
outing.
a word.
But no, thank you very much, and to the whole team. I saw Suresh last night, and he's so excited about being one of the volunteer train drivers. He said it's a childhood dream come true.
And that's the thing, you know, there's 40 people. I'm just doing the logistics.
Yeah.
This is working because 40 people have put their hands up and put their hands up for hours and hours of training and making themselves available. You know, volunteers make the world go round.
They do indeed, but sometimes they need a little bit of lubricant and coordination, and you're that person, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, I've got the resolution moved and seconded, so I'll put that motion on.
I just wonder, given the thing that you've just said, whether we should just formally say thanks to the people that have offered to support the peace train. And also,
This isn't about the peace
No,
train.
okay.
I was very naughty,
All right.
and I interjected, and it was
Okay.
only because Kate was at the end of the table.
okay, but could we thank the groups in here that are getting the grants for the work they do for our environment? Just acknowledge.
Just put a
Yep. Okay, so that we extend thanks to the community groups or the environmental community groups who do so much for the city. Yep.
So the community groups involved in the environmental partnerships, the contribution to the city or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Think of their words. Okay, I'll put that motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. Thank you. I'll mention the peace train in my final report. There you
Okay,
go.
thanks.
Okay. Right, the private plan change